All right, here we go. Live streaming. How you guys feeling?
Hey,
Good.
what's up,
All
guys?
right. Hey,
Are we live? We live?
I
Uh,
think we are. I think we are live.
wow.
Nice.
Our first live show. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone listening.
Guten
Ah,
Tag.
there we go. There we are. We're here. I'm looking at myself, which is weird.
Yeah,
This working out. This working out real good.
totally.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the
All right, hold on, hold
SBT
on, hold on.
podcast. What's
Should
that?
we should we start the show when we get a listener?
No,
Or are we just gonna go?
We're just gonna go.
We're
Oh,
going,
okay.
baby.
All right.
We're going.
Okay.
Time's
Let
a
it roll.
wasting. Warriors
Take
ain't
two.
stopping for us.
Do it live.
Do it live.
Do it
Again.
live.
Welcome everyone to an episode of the SBT podcast. Why are we streaming live? It is an emergency podcast. Why is it an emergency podcast? Well, unfortunately, the Oakland A's are soon to be the Las Vegas A's. So, before we get into it, I do want to just kind of break into a couple statements that from our mayor of Oakland and also from a statement from the A's, which I'm a little frustrated with that too, but we'll get there. So I'm going to talk about the mayor's statement first. So from Shang Tao, the Oakland mayor, she says, I am deeply disappointed that the A's have chosen not to negotiate with the city of Oakland as a true partner in a way that respects the long relationships between the fans, the city, and the team. The city has gone above and beyond in our attempts to arrive at a mutually beneficial terms to keep the A's in Oakland. In the last 3 months, we've made significant strides to close the deal. Yet it is clear to me that the A's have no intention of staying in Oakland and have simply been using the process to try to extract a better deal out of Las Vegas. I am not interested in continuing to play that game. The fans and our residents deserve better. I'm incredibly proud with what we have accomplished as a city, including securing a fully entitled site and over 375 million in infrastructure investment that will benefit Oakland and its port for generations to come. In a time of budget deficits, I refuse to compromise the safety and well-being of our residents. Given these realities, we are ceasing negotiations and moving forward alternatives for redevelopment of Howard Terminal. Why did she post this? Because the A's are moving to Vegas. And let me show you the press release that came from the Oakland A's. But hold on. It wasn't done in the capacity of how most people do it. It's not even reported on the Oakland A's Twitter page. This came from Casey Pratt, who has been all over the insight of what's going on with Howard Terminal and the possibility of the Las Vegas A's. So the statement from the Oakland A's reads, the A's have signed a binding agreement to purchase land for a future ballpark in Las Vegas. We realize this is a difficult day for our Oakland fans and community. For more than 20 years, the A's have focused on securing a new home for the club and invested unprecedented time and resources for the past 6 years to build a ballpark in Oakland. Even with the support from fans, leaders at the city, county, and state level, and throughout the broader community, the process to build a new ballpark in Oakland has made little forward progress for some time. We have made strong and sincere effort to stay here. We recognize that this is very hard to hear. We are disappointed that we were unable to achieve our shared vision of a waterfront ballpark. As we shift our focus to Vegas, we will continue to share details about the next steps. So, a couple things that come into this. This was obviously done last night around 10 p.m. is when a lot of people got the alert of this happening. 10:30 is when Casey Pratt posted this statement from the Oakland A's. On the 19th, which was yesterday, the A's, specifically, her name was, let me tell you right now, her name was Jennifer Lavovich. They put in a submission and lobbied with Clark County commissioners for an off-site strip across the street from T-Mobile Arena, owned by Tropicana. It was put in yesterday with all five Clark County commissioners from A to G. So that was posted in yesterday. That was kind of the telling sign that Casey Pratt and a lot of other people who are into this knew that this A's thing in Las Vegas was probably going to happen sooner rather than later. So I think some things that are kind of disappointing to me is that it feels that the A's couldn't even give a press release from a proper standpoint. It didn't even come from the Oakland A's. It came from an intern who typed something on, their iPhone notes and then tweeted it out to certain media outlets. That to me felt kind of like a slap in the face as an A's fan.
Agreed.
The A's have spent millions of dollars, trying to do the land development. They spent $30 million on the EIR. They spent money on paying the Oakland staff. So it's not to say the A's didn't put money into trying to do the ballpark, because they did. It just seems that the ownership clearly had a motive and they wanted to use Oakland as a leverage point. So I do appreciate that Tao wasn't going to, play this game and be a leverage point for Las Vegas. And for those that are listening, is Vegas on the table more than ever? Yes. I would say 90% is going to go to Vegas. You got a 10% chance. And the reason why I say you got a 10% chance is because A's had stadium plans for Fremont. Never happened. A's had stadium plans for San Jose. Never happened. Now, obviously, San Jose comes with a little bit of a different story, scenario, and situation. I'll get into that later as we go on. But it just seemed that, Vegas, they could build this plan, they could have this proposal, they can have everything going down to it, but it does come down to who's going to front the money, who are the taxpayers approving of this in that area. So there's still some hurdles they need to jump over there, but as far as infrastructure goes, obviously a lot easier than it is in California. There's way less red tape. Forget EPA, it doesn't even exist in Vegas. So that being said, I'm going to open the floor to you guys. Vince, I'm going to let you go first here. I just kind of want your thoughts and what you think is going on with this whole A's situation.
Well, first and foremost, happy Screw You John Fisher Day. Let's start with that. He's, with Dan Snyder now gone in Washington, he's now the worst owner in professional North American sports. So congratulations, John. You did it. Woo. You basically negated an entire fan base for the last almost 2 decades now at this point. He bought the team in 2005, thereabouts. I know the city of Oakland has had some problems, but these problems have existed for a long time, and they existed when he bought the team. So to suddenly try to put blame on the city of Oakland and the problems that come with it, that is misleading at best and just a downright lie at worst. And I'm so frustrated. I've loved this team for as long as I can remember. My water cup at home is an A's cup. Like, I have 18 of these guys that I just keep circling through, whenever I need a new water cup. My coasters, A's. So, I got to get some new cups. I got to get new coasters. I'm done. This sucks. I'm heartbroken. This feels like you've been dating somebody for 30 years at this point, 35 years, however old you are. You've been dating them your entire life for the most part. And all of a sudden you get a goodbye, like a breakup text in the middle of the night. Cause I didn't actually see it. Like I called it an early night last night. I went to bed like 9:30. So my phone was off. So all of this breaking news, I woke up to it. I didn't know it was happening when it was happening. So that was a fun wake up for me as well. And,
did I break the news to you first, or did Casey Pratt break the news to you first?
You actually broke it to me first, because like all the alerts were happening all at once. Like, so I saw your text, and then right below your text was my Bleacher Report alert. So
nice.
So there you go.
Cool.
Congratulations, Tyler. Making me sad right off the bat.
Hey man, it was hard for me to go to sleep last night. I'll be honest with you.
No, it was, yeah. And actually, for that reason, I'm kind of glad I didn't see it until the morning, because there is no way in hell I'm able to fall asleep if I see that news at 10:30 when it's breaking. Again, I'm going to echo your sentiments. It felt disgusting that they couldn't even release the statement on Twitter. They basically, Casey Pratt had to get it from somebody who got it from somebody in Vegas, you know? Like Casey Pratt had to go through hoops, and he's been the one in the Bay that's been covering this more than anybody, like except Brody Brazil, who works for NBC Sports covering the A's, you know? So this is just a slap in the face to the entire Bay Area that's been so loyal to this team for so long. And I mean, I feel like we've been in an abusive relationship for a long time. And I mean, I've said this before. And our abuser has finally said, "Hey, I'm moving. You can either move with me or you can stay unhappy and sad and alone for the rest of your life in Oakland." You know, that's kind of another thing that I'm sort of getting from the team at this point. I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people were trying to plan, you know, the reverse boycott. We talked about this, you know, 3 days ago on our episode, and how like I was pretty excited to try to do that. And I'm not excited to do that anymore. In fact, I'm real glad I didn't buy the ticket yet, because now what I really want, and other people have kind of hinted at this before, I want a zero. Like I want an attendance to be zero at one of these games. You could only bring in 5,000 for the Cubs, you know, when they were in town on one of those nights. Like I want the Monday night game against the Rays on June 12th to have an attendance under 300. Like that's what I want now at this point. I want everything to burn to the ground. I want nothing to do with John Fisher anymore. I mean, I'd put up with this for a long time, and I'm sure I'm going to have more thoughts and things to say as I go on, but I want to take a break and let somebody else jump in, because I need a sip of water out of the cup that now makes me sad to even look at.
Sam, before you go, I want to give you some points here, because I did want to mention this. I did say that the A's were looking at Fremont. They were looking at San Jose. San Jose is the outlier here. The reason why I want to point this out is that I've had some Giants fans tell me they're sorry for me, and that, you know, they know kind of what it felt like because their team almost left. And while I appreciate the sentiment, kind of screw off, please, because in all honesty, you know, in 1989, when the Giants were planning to move to Florida,
It was like
Levi
92.
Strauss-
It was later
93.
than that. It was
It was
later
like
than
92,
that.
93. Yeah.
Because
Right.
Walter Haas was the owner. Yeah, it was, and
right.
that's
So
how the
what happened
Marlins
was
came to be.
Strauss and Wally gave the territorial rights for San Jose to the Giants, and it helped Bob Lowry, who was frustrated getting a new stadium, stay in the Bay Area, stay in San Francisco. And then ultimately, when the A's wanted to move to San Jose, when they're trying to find a ballpark relocation, they asked the Giants if they can go to San Jose, and Giants said, "Go kick rocks." So to say that you're sorry, that you know what it kind of feels like because your team almost left, to be honest, it's kind of the Giants' fault too. It's the A's fault for making that deal. It's the Giants' fault for backstabbing what was a way to keep a rivalry and keep a great spirit of two baseball clubs in the Bay Area. And it's sad that we had to use an antitrust exemption. So I'll leave the floor to you, Sam. Go ahead and share us your thoughts.
Um, I don't even know where to begin. Vince, you're absolutely right. It feels like we've been in an abusive relationship. I've actually gone through this already.
Yeah. With this exact city too.
With this exact city. It's very emotional for me because I think out of all my sports fanaticism, the A's was what I was most fanatic about. My grandfather was a season ticket holder. I never got to meet him. He passed away when my mom was very young, but he took her and her siblings to World Series games in the 70s. My mom got to watch a couple of World Series games in the 80s, 88, 89, 90. There was a special connection with the A's because I never got to meet my grandfather, and I felt like somehow I was connected to him, because all I ever heard about him was how much he loved the A's, and my mom used to tell me all the time and how similar we were in our fandom and just how we see the world. And she just loved her father, and it was just really sad that he died at a young age. But I felt that connection, and many A's fans feel that way. Many A's fans, like Vince, I know you, your dad, and your grandfather had season tickets, and there's the family memories, and then there's the memories of that I got to build with my brother, with my cousins, with friends, and lifelong memories. You and me, us, going. Our friendship is based on sports conversations. We're developing a podcast because of our love of sports and love of the A's, and the father-son stories between me and my own father,
My father.
and how important that is to me and how that's cherished. And that's just the emotional side. That's just the raw feeling of it. Then there's the business stuff, and there's the San Francisco stuff, and there's just so much blame, and there's so much shade that all these people deserve. It's the A's. Number one, John Fisher. We as fans have been complaining about this for many, many, many years. Vince and I, we tried doing podcasting earlier. We had this show called The Green and Gold Show. You can find it on YouTube. And we covered John Fisher years ago. We talked about this years ago. And this was when Dave Calville was kind of at the peak of his powers. This is the whole rooted in Oakland thing.
Yeah, this is well before he had the heel turn.
Well before all that. And I don't want to say I called it, but there was people who felt like Dave Calville was slippery. Because we knew about what was going on in San Jose. We knew about the earthquakes. We knew about John Fisher owning the earthquakes and saying, "Oh, we're going to get this stadium and we're going to turn it around. We're going to invest in the team." They still haven't done it. And Dave Calville got that built. And to say that he was going to come over here, get Howard Terminal built, and everything's going to change. We're going to be the number one team in payroll. We're going to be a top 5 team in payroll. All the evidence says it's not. It's not going to happen. And I made those comments years ago. I criticized Dave Calville, and people came down my throat. People came down my road and said, "Oh, leave Dave alone." Now we see his true colors. We see them for what they are. He's a snake in the grass, period. He was a snake. The whole time we know for a fact he was negotiating with Nevada. The San Francisco thing. When Walter Haas surrendered that region, it was because he recognized having 2 teams in a market is a good thing. It's good for the region. You have double the opportunity to have a team in the World Series. One team being competitive and the other not. It just opens your market to, it makes it a bigger media market together. It makes it more of a destination together. And we're losing that. So the A's were never going to get any support from the Giants. And I've made this argument before that the A's, we know Walter Haas gave that territorial right, to the Lurries to keep the Giants there, and that if they needed to, they can build it over there in San Jose. John Fisher knew the territory line. So you spent years, we're going to go to San Jose, we're going to challenge it because you got nothing. You got nothing. And as shady as the Giants not being as kind, that sucks. That's shady. Okay. But at the same time, business is business. You can't expect every franchise to behave like how Walter Haas behaved. You know, he was operating the A's in the red. You know, he was operating the A's in the red. But baseball was a different thing back then. The revenue sharing, the media contracts, the things that's going on in modern baseball now, it's just totally different. And Walter Haas didn't have the foresight for that. You know, the development, the stadium, all of that. There's just so much blame. The city of Oakland is to blame. The county is to blame. Lame duck after lame duck politician who didn't take this seriously. I mean, really, the only people who are not guilty of anything is the fans. And the one silver lining that I could take from all this is that I feel, you know, it's that the fans are being understood and the fans don't deserve the blame. And that since Moneyball, since the 90s, you know, this whole Moneyball thing, even when they were successful, they shamed the fans. You know, oh, well, this team doesn't get any support, and they do it by nickel and diming. But then you trade away your stars. You just, you know, other than Eric Chavez, I can't even think of anybody they gave a contract to that retained
Chris
the guy.
Davis, but even then, 3 years, 49 million. Was that what it was? Something like that. 3 or 50.
It's crap.
Yeah,
It's crap. And
country breakfast.
at this point, right now, I'm
30.
just in the angry phase. Pack your shit, get out of here. You know, get out of here. And the only reason why I may be interested in going to this June 13th game, because I was all on board. I was like, I'm going to get my ticket. I'm going to go protest. I'm going to get a sign. I'm doing this. I'm going to chant, sell the team. I'm going hard. And then this happened last night, and I'm like, fuck this. I ain't going. Now, I feel like I want to go because I want to say goodbye to people that I may never have this type of kinship with ever again. You know, this is going to be the last time that something good happens and you can just high five somebody sitting next to you just because you're cheering the same team or you saw something incredible. You know, I just really want to go to say goodbye to fellow fans, people that I don't even know. I want to say goodbye to. And I think that's why I'm interested in going. And I would love to sell out the Coliseum on the 13th. And even with the bad team, a team that's not really competitive, that's not the players' fault. They're developing. They're trying to earn their way in the MLB. I just want them to feel the roar of a sold-out crowd in Oakland and the passion behind the fans at least one time. And I want them to feel a playoff atmosphere the one time, and then the next day it can be zero. June 14th, we could walk away. But that's why I'm interested in going on June 13th is to cheer for my team, cheer for the players one last time, say goodbye to the players. You know, this hits different than the Raiders, guys.
Yeah, it hits way different.
This really hits different than the Raiders because, you know, what's different is ownership. Mark Davis family ain't got the money. You know, they don't got the money. They had to take the money, you know, with the A's and the city and the county, there was no clear resolution.
Yeah, so John Fisher has the money, though, to do it.
John Fisher has the money, has the resources, and we've done so much research. At this time, it's kind of there's really no reason to pursue this project we were pursuing. We haven't even discussed it. That's just my opinion. For the past month or so, we've been working on like a documentary series to cover the A's, and we wanted to do something that was like really edited video, full voiceover, you know, production, we wanted to do something special for the fans and just like talk about the history of the A's, make it really fun, and do something sweet, right? And yeah, we were going to get our shots in on John Fisher, of course. But we wanted to do something fun and celebrate the A's and celebrate the players. And this happened, and don't really have passion for that project anymore. It's just hard, man. It's just hard to see Twitter. It's hard to, I got text messages from people who I haven't spoken to in a number of years, but every now and then we would talk about the A's and they would listen to the podcast and, send me a text. Hey, we like that. Cool. And, it's just, it's really rough to see your fellow fan that's mourning. I feel like I lost a family member. And, I'm like, I mourn, I get emotional because I think about the passion that we have as fans and the family stuff, but then I get mad at the city, and then I get mad at John Fisher, and then it's, I'll be fine, move on, but this one really hits different than the Raiders. It really does. John Fisher has the resources, and we just know they never really tried. I just really don't think they tried because you just fucking announced this on a Wednesday out of nowhere. Like, to me,
Late night Wednesday.
I honestly suspect that the June 13th thing was
That's
picking
what I was
up
going to
steam.
say. That's what I was
and
going
they
to say.
wanted to squash it. They needed to squash it.
I
truly believe that. I truly believe that they did this now to squash the June 13th reverse fucking protest.
The reverse boycott. Yeah.
I believe it.
I fully agree that I don't know if I was going to say just because it is a conspiracy theory, but I mean, you couldn't be any more packed about it because I feel the same way about it. Honestly, guys, I don't think Sam. I don't know if you read my text message last night when I sent it to you guys, but the first thing I thought of was, man, like it was really hard for me to go to sleep for one. But the first thing I thought of was like that first game I went to when I was 7 years old against the Cleveland Indians. Like that would to me, it was like, oh man, like I got to spend it with my dad. And then I thought about how I took my nephew to his first baseball game and he got a foul ball and then went down and the bat boy gave him another ball for free. And then he got the ball signed. And that was his first game. And I was joking around with my nephew and I always tell him to this day, he's like 7 feet now, Jesus Christ. But I was joking with him, dude. I've been to countless baseball games and I've never gotten a foul ball. And you go to your first game and you get 2 of them. So I think about that. I think about the time that I did my old podcast with some buddies and we went and sat behind home plate and my buddy was on his phone and a foul ball was hit back behind home plate and he panicked and freaked out and made like 3 rows of people panic and freak out. But the ball landed on the second row up on the upper deck. Like I think about that. I think about the fun times about it. I think about the memories of Grant Balfour and the rage mode that went into Grant Balfour. I miss that.
I was at that game when Balfour came in and they needed to beat the Rangers and Josh Hamilton.
Game 162.
Yeah,
we were there together, Sam. Game.
Yeah. Oh
I happened to be there too.
My brother was there. Yeah, my brother was with us too. Yeah, I remember we were in 205.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember the memories of catching those random people on a Thursday night or a Friday night just chugging beer, and then like every other inning they just come back to this person just chugging beer, like stupid things like that. Like it's those memories that I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss the wholesomeness of what was the Oakland A's. Like you're not gonna go to Giants game and see someone just chugging beers inning after inning. You're not gonna see that, right? I miss the dump or the last dive bar that was the Coliseum. And that's everything that just came to me immediately as I was thinking. And then my second thought was, well, shoot, I've got all of this A's merch. What am I supposed to do with this? Like I feel abandoned. I feel left out and nobody's gonna come and bring you back inside and keep you all nice and warm. But my point is that I'm upset, but I'm not upset with the Oakland A's. I'm not upset with the players. I'm upset with ownership and I'm upset with management. So am I gonna stop wearing my A stuff? Yeah, for some time, but I'll put it back on, whenever I feel like it. I may not watch an A's game for quite longer than the time it takes me to put these uniform or this hat back on, but when I put it on, I'm not thinking about how I was scorned and left abandoned. I think about all the fun times and all the memories that I had at the Coliseum. And I think that's what I'm going to think about every time I put on my A's gear.
I totally respect that and I get that. And I just want to say for any fan, whatever your reaction to this news is, it's completely valid. If this is the straw that broke the camel's back and you're done forever, like me, I'm that fan. I'm done forever with the A's. Yeah. I get that. If you're somebody who's going to stick with them and go to Vegas, that's fine too. I don't blame you. I've personally invested tens of thousands of dollars over 20 years into this team, man. Like I've between tickets and concessions and merch and
traveling,
50-50 raffles, traveling. Like I've personally invested multiple tens of thousands of dollars into this team over my lifetime as an adult, man. And I respect whatever you're feeling is valid. So I'm not going to come up anybody's road. If you're sticking with them, that's fine. If you're not, that's fine too. I totally get it, man.
For sure. I was running around doing work stuff today, and this was the talk of the town. Everybody that I met today, this was the talk of the town. The A's are gone. They're going to Vegas. And I met people who were pissed, who were absolutely irate, and I am done with baseball. F this. I'm out. And then I met people who were excited, and they're like, I've been a fan since they moved here, and I'm stoked, because they have this vision that they're going to get the stadium and they're going to have the money to pay players. And I just, maybe for a few years, but I think John Fisher will never, ever be an owner that's all in. He's never going to be the guy that says, increase payroll, go get the guy. Yeah. He's going to manage this. He's going to run this team like a business because he's not a fan. When you got people like the Mets owner who there's no limit.
Yeah, dollar bills, man. Yeah.
San Diego as well, too.
No limit. And
running
how
in
the
the
hell
red.
does San Diego have this money? Because what San Diego is trying to do is push their brand into a new category. They're trying to, if they can win one or a couple, the Astros, you look at that brand a little different, even with the Cheatergate, even with all that stuff, they win a lot. The Astros, they've been really good, but even the Astros tanked years. They sucked for years under this current ownership. And this is not just a problem with John Fisher in the city of Oakland. It's Baltimore, it's Tampa Bay, it's Cincinnati, it's Pittsburgh. It goes on
Kansas
and on
City,
and on.
man.
Kansas
Yeah.
City. It's not just a A's and Oakland problem. It's an ownership problem. And these, I think we talked about this on an episode. why we don't see this as much in other leagues, and I think we do. It's just baseball, because of this uncapped. You just see what the Yankees spend, and you see what the Mets spend, and you see what those guys spend. I see it as you got teams like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers. You got teams like that. They don't want teams like the A's to have a payroll that can compete to get Aaron Judge. They don't want that, because if the A's had a $400 million bag or $500 million bag for Aaron Judge, that means the Yankees are going to have to go 550. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna.
It's an arms race at that
It's
point.
an arms race.
Yeah.
If you had more teams in it, so those teams, they're gonna allow owners like John Fisher for certain things, and then you're gonna have the other side of it is you're gonna have owners like John Fisher, Pittsburgh, the Baltimore, where they don't want to spend money. So they're going to lean on the side of John Fisher of the John Fishers of the world is don't spend money. Run it like a spreadsheet. It's your personal ATM. So
Dad,
I just think
Tim?
do you know what the password is for
the gap of
I
ownership
have no idea.
in MLB is just so wide, and it's not because of deep pockets. It's because
You
there's
mean
no
for the,
need. There's no
internet?
need
Oh yeah, for the internet.
to have the
Because-
bottom third of the
and
league
also, I
compete.
wanna
They're
get
gonna
something.
make their money on
I wanna get
TV
Bobo
revenue
Thomas
sharing,
and Thomas
baseball
Lee.
classic now, the WBC. They're gonna make their money all over, and that maybe they lose. I don't know, 100,000, 50,000, 10,000 A's fans, whatever the number is. The way baseball feels is they're gonna make it up elsewhere. They're gonna get it elsewhere. They're gonna get new fans elsewhere. But from the beginning, I mean, Bud Selig hired a blue ribbon committee,
commission. Yeah.
and we had to wait like 20 years. I mean, I'm serious. It was like 20 freaking years to get a result, to get a statement from this thing. And Bud Selig was a crap owner. Like the Brewers sucked. And the Brewers got a new stadium. And outside of
Well-
a handful of players, they didn't do anything.
But the Brewers, I mean, let's call it bias at that point. That's his team. That's
his team.
literally
But what I'm saying is
Selig's.
Bud Selig was a John Fisher.
Yes,
That's what
of
I'm
course,
saying.
Of
Bud
course.
Selig was a John Fisher. He was a Angelos guy. He was Tampa Bay Rays, Miami Marlins. He owned a team but didn't do shit. Didn't invest.
Yeah.
That's the owner that he was, and the owners elected a broke ass owner who didn't invest in his team, and who else bought in? Lou Wolf, another billionaire who took over from Hoffman and Schott, and did nothing. Berger spent nothing on the team. And now John Fisher, same thing. It's not a A's problem. It's not an Oakland problem. It's a MLB problem. Get
it
these
is.
owners out of the league. We deserve better. All fans deserve better.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what Vince said, what 05 is when he said he purchased it, so it's 22
thereabouts.
years, right? 22, 23 years,
Uh,
somewhere in there.
It's about 18.
18, okay.
Dad,
Yeah.
do you know the
So
password?
18 years of how many
Yeah,
dismantles?
I gotta go.
How many, like, we have a promising start, but we
important
can't
is
get
this?
out of the first round, and then the wild card, and then the wild card, and then the wild card.
I need to
So
write
it's-
down Raz Kids.
We were
Or-
basically fool's gold, is what it was. We were led to believe that something was going to happen, and nothing was ever going to happen. I saw some stuff online today that I think the best comparison I can think of what we as A's fans are going through is probably what some diehard Chargers fans went through when Dean Spanos moved them to Los Angeles
Wait,
for money, So a lot of Chargers fans have been talking about how they feel the same emotions that we're feeling when the Chargers left and just abandoned them with no remorse, So
type it in.
I'm upset. I'm disappointed. And Sam, you made a good point on the whole June 13th situation that I didn't have that perspective of it. That makes me want to go buy my ticket, and
Yeah.
I may tell other people to go buy the tickets and be like, hey man, let's just say goodbye for the last
Let's
time.
let's dress in black, make it a funeral, man. Make
Yeah.
it like that's. I think that's the way to go with it. You know,
Yeah.
like we're gonna. This is gonna be the most highly, attended funeral in definitely in as long as I can think of.
Yeah, and
We're talking
one thing,
Queen of England, man. Queen of
one thing
England.
too is
Oakland
that
A's.
the A's lease is up in 2024.
I think their ass now.
No, what I'm saying
Evict
is that it's up in 2024. They're not going to renew a lease in the city of Oakland. So in reality,
no.
your A's are probably going to go to Vegas next year
2025.
or 2025. So they'll probably play it at the Aviator Stadium until they get their stadium built, most likely. They may play it, University of Las Vegas in the meantime too, and if they're sharing the stadium at the same time. So yeah, that's
Wouldn't
sad.
be the first sport to play at a college ballpark.
Yeah, I just think that June 13th is probably gonna be the send off, and you're probably not gonna go to the game next year. There's no point. I mean, really, no one's under contract except Tony Kemp. So it's a sad day.
I would really love to hear from former players. I know Dallas Braden can only say so much as a
Analyst.
employee.
Yeah.
But I just want to shout. I've already done it on Twitter, but I want to shout him out because he can't really say a lot. But what he can say, I think, means a lot. I'm gonna get his last name wrong, but shout out Damon Mandalara, because I feel like he's been the only mainstream, fairly well-known media member that has really had the A's fan and fans in general's back, throughout this process. And there's been a lot of San Francisco media people who, they didn't support the A's and they fed into the Oakland fans being the bad guy. I read those articles. There's been Giants fans I've spoken to, and they made it like, you have no fans, but you didn't educate yourself why people don't go. And to think this can't happen to another team, if you're a Giants fan, to think that this can't happen to you, it can. It can Who's the general manager? Who's the GM, or who runs the Giants right now?
Zaidi.
Where'd he come from?
The Dodgers, and then
Dodgers
the A's
and the
before
A's.
that.
There you go. He got his crack with the A's, with Billy Beane. And you know what? Everybody said, oh, this is going to be money ball, but with money. We're going to have draft picks. We're going to have free agents. And magic. And they suck. They stink. And now Giants fans are losing it because it's been a nothing burger so far. It's every excuse in the world. You know what? Giants ownership, all they care about is dollars. And I really think the Giants are going to be, we talked about this last time about another sport, is being stuck in that mediocrity. You know what I mean? The Red Sox went 100 years without winning a World Series. The Cubs, to just think like, well, somewhere in the next 10 years, we're probably just going to run into a World Series. The Yankees haven't won since when, Vince?
2009 was the last time the Yankees won.
It can happen.
Yep.
It can happen. So I'm just saying, I know there's Giants fans making their jokes. They're clowning. Fine. Have your fun. Whatever. This can happen to you. This can happen. And it can happen to any team. It can happen to any franchise. Look at the Chargers as you referenced, Tyler. It can happen. This is a problem in American sports, and it's not just MLB either. It's governments in cities should not get into a bidding war, for for these types of things. You're not going to get into a bidding war to have Apple or Amazon or whatever in your city. I mean, that's kind of the problem with California. I mean,
Yeah.
California's to blame in this too, is how development works in California. There's so much blame. It's California, it's the city, it's the county, it's the JPA, it's the politicians. I mean, it's the ownership of the A's. It's just been mismanagement all the way around. Every single person that was in charge of moving this forward.
Yeah.
It's just, they're all to blame. All of them.
I have one point I wanted to make as well. Like, as far as marketing goes, like, they've done shit as far as just marketing the team, and we talked a little bit about it, and that's part of the reason why attendance is crap.
Do the A's don't even have commercials anymore?
Yeah,
do they?
I know. Yeah. So I mean, there are fans who put together the last dive bar because somebody wrote an article about it. They took that and they made it like fan created, like, sportswear for the A's. There's a last dive bar T-shirt, and they do Oakland Nights, like based on the Andy Samberg thing on Netflix. And there's there's a lot of creativity there, and the A's could have leaned into that a little bit. Like, yeah, our stadium is shit. Come see how shitty it is.
Just how heartbreaking it is when the 66s are tweeting out that they've asked for their drums back.
Yeah.
They're going there to pick up their drums.
Yeah. So I mean, this whole situation, I'm so sad for us A's fans, and I'm gonna make it a little bit of a pity party right now. I'm a former season ticket holder. I was a season ticket holder until the pandemic happened, and we didn't buy back in when this season started.
Let me
last
jump
season
in real
started.
quick, Vince.
Yeah, go ahead.
They get rid of Olsen, they get rid of Chapman, they get rid of more players this year, and then raise prices.
Yeah, exactly. They get rid of everybody.
They raise the prices on this stadium,
and
on this team.
Yeah, it wasn't even like they raised it a little bit. Like, some of these season ticket holders, their season ticket package went up more than 50%. Like, some of them were close to 60% raise on prices.
Tell them what they got in the package.
And then they were given a shitty little Matt Olson giveaway T-shirt, like that was supposed to be an authentic jersey. Doing the little finger quotes there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me chime in here.
All right.
How long do you think this process has been? Do you think this has been in the works for years, where this is the result that they wanted? Do you think this is where we were always headed?
They accelerated this process in the last 2 years, basically, from the pandemic, maybe 3 years, I think. Once the pandemic hit, they started turning their sights onto Vegas. I think that's probably the time when they started saying, maybe
I also
not
think
Oakland.
the ball got moving a lot more once Davis moved to Vegas with the Raiders, and they realized that that's a thing that they could do. And it was like the groundwork was kind of laid out for them, so they figured, if they could do it, we could do it.
I see you there on that one, Tyler, but I really don't think the A's are going to take to Vegas as the Knights or even the Raiders. And I think the Raiders is kind of, unless the Raiders get good soon, I could see that
No, let's be
They've
honest.
been underwhelming.
Davis went out and said that he was upset and disappointed that he felt that every game was not a home field advantage. And it's not. You don't go to Vegas. You don't live in Vegas and go celebrate this football team that has no historic value to you. You know why the Knights are so well over there? Because it wasn't some random team.
It's theirs. It's first.
It wasn't some random team that came in. No, this was a new expansion team that belongs to them.
Yeah.
It's only them. So
yeah.
when you come into Vegas, you're like, well, I'm going to make a trip out of it, and I'll go see a Raiders game. Or I'm watching my Indianapolis shitty Colts. I'm going to go make a trip out of it. So it's never going to be
the
a
Colts
home
won that
value.
game, so fuck off.
So, but that's my point, is that's why they don't take to the Raiders, and they won't take to the A's either, because it's not theirs.
And the A's are going to be the 5th team into that market.
Yeah.
Because you have the Knights, you have
But
the
guys-
Raiders, the WNBA team
Guys,
as well. Who I mean,
Guys,
yeah.
you're all right. Every point you're making is right. But the deciding factor is you have an owner that is not all in. Like, say what you want about Mark Davis. He didn't have the money to build a stadium. He didn't have the resources. I will say in Al Davis's defense, if Al Davis had the money, he would be all in. If Al Davis and Mark Davis had the financial resources as, John Fisher, all in. The Raiders would be all in. They would be the Golden State Warriors playing with the cap, doing whatever they needed to do, because even when Al Davis was still alive, the Raiders were always in on free agency. They just put it on the wrong guy.
And that's nice, but that doesn't mean
I'm
that
not going to
doesn't
get
mean
mad at you for spending. It's
that
just
doesn't
the
mean
wrong
that you
guy.
bring in fans though. That
You
means
know?
that you have an owner that's dedicated. It doesn't mean you put fans in the seats.
It
doesn't
doesn't
mean-
guarantee success, but what I'm trying to say is Mark Davis went to Vegas, and on his way out, he tried to add to the Raiders. He brought in John Gruden. They did 3 years here in Oakland, and he tried to put a team together and do a final hoorah in Oakland. Like, it didn't work, and we saw the Raiders started what, 3-0, 4-0, and then the
Right.
whole John Gruden situation happened, and he was gone. And then they made the playoffs. They got eliminated in the wild card. But Mark Davis has been an all-in owner. He had to take the money because he didn't have money. He doesn't have other revenue streams other than whatever financial portfolio and investments he made from his father. He doesn't have money. So, so in a way I respect Mark Davis because he needed to take the money. He needed the Las Vegas money. But if the Raiders don't win right, like soon, I could see that town like not giving a shit about the Raiders. Now with the A's, okay, maybe that first season you come in, you got a new stadium. Hopefully you have a roster that's going to be competitive, and you can come in and hit the ground running, and everything just works like the Knights, right? But if you don't, remember the Miami Marlins spent all that money and then they sucked. That owner ripped it to the ground and it never came back. And they have the stadium. They still have the stadium. They had Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter left because of this problem, because Derek Jeter wanted to win and he left.
Well,
John Fisher's
jumping in
never
here-
going to be in.
jumping in here, Daryl Evans chimed in. Welcome, Daryl. I appreciate the comment here.
What's up,
He
buddy?
said that the A's Las Vegas team isn't even selling out their minor league team, the Aces, which I think it's the Aviators, but still, they were averaging 6,500 a game with a 10,000 capacity stadium. How are they going to sell a 35,000 seat stadium? They're not. They're absolutely
That's a
not
great
going
fact,
to.
Daryl.
Yeah.
Mark
Yeah,
Davis
perfect.
is now worth 1.5 billion. That's true. I did look that up. Daryl also said Mark Davis is now worth 1.5 billion. That's true, but that's because of the Raiders and the new stadium and the WNBA team that he bought. And he won a championship.
Yeah. All right,
So-
so we've been on this for almost an hour now at this point. It's getting close to, I think we're right around 50 minutes or so. I think we should
But
probably
we're adding subscribers.
Yeah,
So-
I know, but I think we should probably get close to wrapping this up. And I just I just
We
want to know
forgive you,
what.
Daryl.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Appreciate the comment. What are you guys gonna miss the most about going to A's games, being an A's fan? What are you gonna miss the most? And I'll go first because mine is ready to go. My tradition for as long as I can remember was opening day. Going to opening day, that was my birthday tradition because my birthday's at the end of March and the season always starts end of March, beginning of April. So the first home game for the A's, that was what I always did for my birthday, going back as far as I can remember. I remember being in elementary school and my grandpa taking me, and they were playing the Red Sox. It was like 96 or something like that. And we stayed for the whole game. I got to stay up late and we rode on the BART. I think the Red Sox won, but then like they were like some of the fans were talking with me on BART. I remember bits and pieces of that. I remember having a blast with my grandpa going to the stadium, and like we became season ticket holders when after I graduated high school. I kind of pulled the trigger and did it, and then my dad and my grandpa kind of followed suit. And that was just something we did. We would always go to 25, 30 games a year and we did that for 15, 16 years, something like that, before the pandemic hit. And all of that is now gone. I mean, it's I actually posted when I went to opening day this past year, and this was I said this might be the last opening day game I go to, and it turns out your boy is an oracle. I've said it before. Your boy Vinny G is an oracle, because I'm never going to another A's opening day game again in my life, because they're going to be gone. I'm not going to go next year because they're going to be gone. They've already broken my heart. This my heart is broken. And so all of that is gone. And that's what I'm going to miss, is having a family connection, having the opening day tradition. It's all gone. And it's been ripped out of me by a bastard coated bastard with bastard cream filling, John Fisher. Fuck you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said my memories of what I thought about last night kind of kept me up thinking about it. But yeah, definitely going to that first game with my dad, spending that first game with my nephew. But I think what I'm going to miss most about it, honestly, is it was like my cheers, right? It wasn't pretty. It wasn't beautiful. It had sparkling moments that you could tell people about and talk about it. But it was just a dive, and it was my dive, and I loved everything about it. And I love that, didn't matter if you were visiting from, an opposing team. I still high-fived you. We still joked around. We still had a great time. All the fellow fans that came in there, you could share a beer with them. You could joke around. You could piss in the ice
In the
bath of a
trough,
trough.
yeah.
I mean, there's things about it that I think I'm always going to relate some kind of moments and memories that I cherish most about the Coliseum and the Oakland A's. And it's sad that I won't be able to share that memory with like other friends and future family and things of that nature. But I think to me, I'm just going to miss the camaraderie of what was brought to me by going to these Oakland A's games.
I remember bringing friends and family to the Coliseum for the first time, and you have a couple beers and you got to break the seal, and being there quite a few times with dudes who never been to the Coliseum and their eyeballs popping out of their skull when they see the trough. I gotta pee here. You know how much wiener I'm gonna see?
You look down, you look forward, you look up. Those are your three, just straight line, buddy.
I will
You're
never
good.
forget. And you know what? If you're listening, watching, you can look this up. There's a meme of like how Giants fans don't know how to use a trough.
Or they pull their pants all the way down.
And dude, he had his jersey all the way up to his neck and his pants down to his ankles and was peeing like
The number one
it.
trough,
You know what? I kind of respect it in a weird
number
way.
one little trough is you go wide stance and look up. Don't look down.
Yep.
Just don't look down, baby.
Face.
Hey, I want to shout out.
Always look forward.
I got two Michaels. I got a Michael and a Mike. Shout out. They're in the chat, so I just want to shout them out. Thank you for your support as we mourn.
Yeah. Also, shout out Logan, who was listening earlier in the chat, made a comment.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah,
Welcome on in.
Mike is, he said the Raiders are dead to him, and I respect that, man.
Yeah.
Like I respect that, and I feel like the fanaticism is not. We cover the Raiders on this podcast because of me. I'm still interested. Like I outlined earlier, I think it's a little bit different, but I understand for people that they left and it's a breakup and it's hard. And I still watch the Raider games, but it's not the same. Like it's not the same level. Maybe in time that changes. Maybe in time it changes with the A's. I don't know. I just feel like I don't think even if Howard even at a midnight, at a stroke of midnight, the A's
Don't
the
turn to a
A's-
pumpkin and
the
be
A's
and come back to
somehow
Oakland.
stay in Oakland. A's fans rise because of this fucking podcast. A's fans rise. And you know, the A's stay in Oakland. Something happens and they stay here. I really just I think John Fisher has just ruined his own name. I really believe that. I really believe, and I believe it's going to affect other business. If you go on Twitter, a lot of people, I personally have not bought anything Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, and you know what? I alluded to this earlier, guys. We talked about the project we were working on for the A's, trying to do this documentary. I mentioned we were going to take our shots at John Fisher, and rightfully so. I don't want to say we're breaking news, but we put a lot of pieces together. And this is not a good person. This is not a good investor. This is not a person you would want on your team. This is a vulture capitalist. You know what happens this is what happens to companies like Sears. This is what happens to companies that they get bought by just an investment firm and they strip it of its parts. This was extremely shocking. I didn't know about this, that John Fisher is involved in the timber industry. I don't want to reveal too much about myself, but I work in the construction industry and we deal with a lot of timber. And him owning Mendocino Redwood and Humboldt Redwood affects me. It affects my mortgage. It affects how I can do commerce in the construction industry. And I made this point. We were working on these points and laying out these things that about John Fisher's misuse of the A's and his other businesses. He ain't going to change. He is mismanaging Humboldt Redwood and Mendocino Redwood and he's clear-cutting shit. You can look it up. A simple Google search, you will find that the businesses that he owns since 1998 are they're clear-cutting groves, which is not allowed in California. That's not how you obtain timbers. He's breaking the law. But because he greases the wheels with the donation, you can look it up. This is all on a simple Google search, and you don't even need to be in incognito mode or have a VPN. You just Google it. Just Google it. Fact check me, please, everybody. If you're somehow hearing this, go and check it. Go find out the human being that John Fisher, that Sandy Dean, that Lou Wolf. Go look these companies up. Look at what they do. Look at what they do to communities. They're not honest people.
Yeah,
They're
and
dishonest
let me
people.
let me ask a question because we're getting some chats in here from Daryl and Mike, and you guys may not have been here earlier, but we were working on a side project as far as doing a documentary series about the Oakland A's. The steam has pretty much been let out of the train here for us, but just curious, I mean, would you guys be interested in something like that? I mean, we could revisit the thought as when the dust clears here for us.
That's
you
true.
know.
Yeah,
So-
we could always circle back. I'll tell you what, I'm not super excited about it, but
No, but
I'm-
we did
I'm
do a
happy
lot
to-
of research and we
could-
did do a lot
yeah.
of work into it already.
Yeah,
So we were already in some
yeah.
script settings here. So
yeah, we already started
The ball's
writing
rolling.
scripts for it. So
let us know what you guys think, though.
Yeah. And, you know, we've said this in past podcasts for anybody who's listening right now who's brand new. Like, we have a podcast that we've been running for the last, 2 years, guys?
almost
And-
2 years, about
and-
year and 8 months ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Something like
we've come back to the fact that John Fisher, like, this is the A's are like the least important thing on his list. He could care less about it. And
You look exactly, Tim. You look up his portfolio. You look up what he's involved in. This is not. This is an ATM. And we've made this argument before. If this was the Dodgers, and it was, Frank McCourt. For the kids that are too young to remember, go Google Frank McCourt. Go look up how the current Dodger ownership group obtained that team. Go look that up. Frank McCourt. And the fans were pissed, and there was mismanagement, dirty fingerprints all over that thing. And MLB stepped in. If this was the Yankees, no. Look at the Mets. It didn't happen for the Mets. Like, we know what's going on now. But it ain't going to change for teams. There's no pressure. The Angelos, Baltimore, he bought that team in the 90s when Cal Ripken Jr. was still a face of baseball. He was still the Iron Man. Cal Ripken Jr., one of the greatest
Absolutely
of all. One of the
wasted
greats.
that prime. Wasted
one
that
of the
prime.
fucking greats.
Mm-hmm.
And they already had the stadium. And he ran it into the fucking ground. And it's gonna happen again. Time and time again. As long as John Fisher and Angelos and these owners are in power, this is going to repeat itself. Las Vegas does not guarantee success. It does not guarantee that the Mark Mulders and the Tim Hudsons and the Barry Zitos and the Miguel Tejadas and the Jason Giambis and the Eric Chavez never, ever leave. And Billy Beane is not innocent.
Prime example is the Earthquakes.
Fuck Billy Beane too.
But look at the Earthquakes. They got a brand new stadium. And where have they been, Vince?
They've been to they had a really good year in 2012. And that was it. That was before the stadium even opened.
Moneyball, because I want to talk about Moneyball. I know we're getting long, but I want to talk about Moneyball. Billy Beane traded Mark McGwire, and the following year, what did Mark McGwire do? Steroids or not?
That would be the 70 home run season, right?
Imagine if that was in an A's jersey. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about steroids. He did it. You know? I really don't. The argument about steroids, the owners knew, the GMs knew, the managers knew, the players knew, the fans knew. If I was a kid in junior high and I knew Mark McGwire was doped, come on. It's not breaking news. You know? Yeah. It's not breaking news. Barry Bonds,
Piazza, Sammy Sosa. I mean, it was not.
And it's not just the hitters; it was the pitchers too. Roger Clemens,
dude. And you're telling me Bud Selig didn't know? You're telling these guys didn't know?
Fucking bowl of greenies sitting on the table.
Oh,
you know.
super
So with
greenies,
Moneyball, man, Billy Beane. The movie. We were texting and talking about this on our own time. About the movie and the disrespect that Art Howe got. I'm gonna use this time to stick up for Art Howe and the disrespect that movie to make him look like a curmudgeon, unfit, upset, grumpy manager, that he was the problem with the A's, that if only Billy Beane had the proper manager, they would have been more successful. That is awful. And
the crime. And they haven't apologized.
R.I.P. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Fantastic actor. That's not his fault. I'm not coming down his road at all. He's amazing. That's just a horrible director, writer, producer, studio choice. Art Howe was a good manager. Developed that team. That team went off to be very successful. And it's just it's a shame that he was portrayed that way. And that's another reason why I would, I wish I really wish June 13th would be a final hoorah where players, former players, come out and they're kicking it with the fans, and we're high fiving and we're hugging. And like I said, that this current A's team, even though we know they're not a very competitive team, they feel the passion of Oakland and they feel the passion of what this fan base brought. Because I was at those games. I was at the games when there wasn't a lot of people. I was at the Red Sox game 1 when Ramon Hernandez bunted and they won the game on a bunt. I was at that game. I was at game 5 when Billy fucking Koch gave up that homer to goddamn AJ Pierzynski. I was crushed. I was at those games. I was at some of the games at the 20-game win streak. I didn't know they were going to win 20 games. I was at like 6, 7, and like 10. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were going to.
I was early on, like 3. Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of history here. There's a lot of love here. I want to support the players. You know, and I guess I'm getting in that mood like Tyler right now, where it's like I'm getting caught up in my memories. But the problem is John Fisher, man. You know, he's the problem, and it's the people like him. But it's not just the A's; it's other franchises. And I know this is not going to be the end of it. It's going to happen to another franchise, and I want to be, and you know, maybe they're not supporting us right now. Maybe Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh and these teams that are suffering the same fate is, I'll be there. You know, I'll be there. You know, because I know what it's like, and it's tough, man. It's tough.
Absolutely. Anything else before we wrap this bad boy up, guys?
No, but I want to say thank you, Mike. Thank you, Daryl. I mean, Daryl and Mike have both been coming in here with a lot of insight and, you know, a lot of opinions about it. We really, really do appreciate it. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do some little bit live streams more often and get a little bit more people in here, but definitely, you know.
Well, I know Mike spent a lot of time there. And I know he spent company parties there. You know,
Yeah.
And you know, I see his comments, so it's tough, man. It's tough on a lot of people.
As much as I love this team and I love the friendships it's brought, Sam, it brought me and you closer together. I mean, we
Absolutely.
met in the theater, but we bonded over the A's and over sports in general. And and it brought me this friendship with Tyler that I have now too. And it sucks that it's gone, but at least we still have
Well, not
these
our friendship.
memories. Not the friendship. Just the
no,
A's.
not that.
No. We're still friends. We're still good. But it sucks.
Breaking
that,
news: this podcast ended today on 420.
Hey, whoa, hey,
Fuck
whoa,
you
hey,
all.
hey,
I'm
hey,
out.
hey.
Fuck you, Tim. You're cool. I'm out. No.
I knew it.
No, it's it sucks that the thing that brought us together is no longer something that exists anymore, as far as I'm concerned. But we do still have the memories. We'll always have game 162, you know. And it's I'm sure one day I'll look back on it fondly, but right now I'm still fucking raging at fucking John Fisher and fucking Dave Cavill and fucking Billy Bean.
This is the way, Vince.
Yeah.
This
This is the way. That's funny.
All right,
Oh,
fellas. Well,
shit.
I know we're done on the A's subject here. Thank you everyone for chiming in. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, other Mike. Appreciate you guys coming in here and commenting. Before we sign off here, this is literally the title does say A's and Warriors. We knew we were going to do mostly A's and a little bit of Warriors. So I won't take too much time. Guys, your prediction tonight. Dubs win, Dubs L, no Draymond. What is your thoughts?
If the Splash Brothers can get 60, 65 points and Jordan Poole can contribute offensively because he's not going to contribute defensively, then the Warriors have a good chance at getting the win tonight. Obviously, they're capable of it. I'm hoping for it. I don't want to go down 0-3. So this is as close to a must win as you can possibly get without actually statistically being a must win. You know, so you have to get this win tonight. So let's go.
Sam?
I agree. To comment on last week's game, Draymond, Sabonis, I do not agree with the ejection. I thought that should have been a double. I don't agree with the suspension. I thought that should have been a double ejection because Sabonis was grabbing his legs, and you know what? You grab my leg, I'm gonna stomp on your ass too. So don't grab me. So
But
Maybe
Sam,
that's
you're
wrong.
forgetting that Draymond should know better.
You grab
Whatever.
me, you hold my foot down. Yeah, I think Shaq said it. I'm stomping on your head. And I agree. Don't grab me. And that wasn't the first grab. There's video evidence of him grabbing feet on other parts. And to say that, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson aren't getting fouled, they're getting fouled all day long.
They're just not calling it.
They're just not calling it. And JJ Redick called this out. And I don't always agree with everything he says, but when it comes to certain NBA takes, I'm going to listen cuz he's an NBA player, and I'm going to listen to that, and I'm going to hear him out when he talks about fouls when you're an off-ball player. I do think tonight is going to get called a little bit different. It's going to be at Chase. I do think the Warriors are going to get the next two. I think this series is probably going to go 7 because the NBA wants more ratings. So
Ratings they shall get.
So I think it's going 7. And we'll go from there. But I think we get the win tonight because it's going to be a differently called game. And the MVP for me is going to be Loondog because he's going to have to step up in that paint. So it's going to be Looney game. And
Right.
It may not show up in the box score, but it's going to show up in the dirty work and the devil's in the details. So Warriors definitely getting that win tonight.
Yeah. I'll put it this way: you're down a dynamic defensive Swiss Army knife in Draymond Green. That's not really easy to replace. I don't know what the starting lineup is. I don't think they have announced it just yet. I don't think they will until tip-off anyways.
I'm sure they have, but we're busy talking A's.
Well, in my opinion, I mean, look, Draymond has a reputation. We all know this. Could Draymond not have over-exaggerated the step on him that made it look even probably worse than if he just would have just stepped on him? Maybe, so that didn't help. I do think that Looney needs to step up. And I think your key player tonight defensively, if he's in the starting rotation, is going to be Kuminga or it's going to be Wiggins. Both those guys need to step up defensively because we've said before, there's no way you're going to slow down De'Aaron Fox. He's probably going to get 20, 25. Hopefully you can get him to not get 30 points, but you got to slow the others down. As Shaq was saying, can't let the others be a part of the whole offense. You can let the best player do it, but you got to limit the others. And we haven't been doing a good job of that. And also 15 turnovers, 20 turnovers. Game 1, game 2. You're not going to win a game like that, especially in the playoffs. So
GB2 is out. So you got to make sure to take care of the defensive end with those other guys, because GP2 is not there. Draymond's not there. Thank you to Daryl for pointing that out as well in the chat. I have that open. Mike's taking off too. So thank you, Mike, for hanging out.
Later, guys. Man, thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're game is tipping off in about 20 minutes, right? So I think we got to get out of here, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've got one more beer and another shot to go. And then hopefully come Monday, we're talking about how they're fighting for game 5 here with the series tied. So
yeah, absolutely. I got to find some new glasses too to drink water out of.
All right, guys. So you guys have a great night. Thank you guys for doing this immediate podcast with us. As always, guys, remember, please
like and subscribe.
Yeah, you're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell to get the alerts when we post new episodes. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with all of you, beautiful people.
The beautiful people. The beautiful people.
Nice landing, dude. You
Yeah.
A little
really.
rough
Yeah.
landing, but
Yeah,
you
The
know, you
wheels
landed
wouldn't
it.
come out, but then they like just yanked it and then we
Popped
got
it
it.
in. Yeah.
We got it.
Perfect. All right. Good night, guys.
Perfect.
Right. I think we're clear. Tim?
Yeah, we're clear. Let me end the stream.